Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unturned Pages here on your Sunday evening. Um, no Jenny tonight. She's on her way back from Ann Arbor, Michigan, from the Pottergraphs for Pooches event run by Tim Malley, which I heard was a very, very successful event. So congratulations to them. Great time by all, I'm sure. Um, so tonight we have a very, very special guest on. Um, it's it's interesting because last night I was on his show, and tonight he's on our show, and I think it's good because we're hitting different demographics, and we're bringing in a different listener base and whatnot. So, without further ado, you know him from Banter with Richie B, Mr. Richie B himself.
Yo, what's happening, buddy?
What's
Huh?
going on?
You're
How
the
we
big
doing tonight?
boss. You're the big boss
Hey,
tonight.
you know what? Honestly, without without Bobby Lee's help, I couldn't have done it without her.
Dude, she's amazing, dude. I'm lucky. I'm sorry, no offense to we all have our teammates, you know what I mean? But her and
Of
I think it's
course.
how you gel that makes it everybody kind of excel a little bit, you know what I mean? And she's just amazing. Like I've learned a lot of this system already, and to free her up, you know what I'm saying? And it's just I can go right to her and say, "Hey, what do I do here?" Like tonight, I'm calling. I had a total brain fart. I'm like, what do I do with this link again?" I haven't been because I've been a guest, but I've been guest before, but it's been it's a little while in between, so you know your own
Of course.
operation, right? So
Yeah.
I'm over here frozen, and I said, you think that the word is spelt wrong, and you stare at it a few times, and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
it ain't the right spelling, and
It
and the
doesn't
words
look
like
right.
then the words like the,
Yeah.
and you're having this human moment, and you're like, what the, drives you freaking
Well,
nuts. So that's what I
well,
was
that's like
having.
I was talking to her earlier, getting your promo pictures and everything for the show tonight. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna be on the struggle bus with this one a little bit because normally Jenny does everything, gets all the slideshows and
Yeah.
whatnot together. And
Mm.
Bobby's like, oh yeah, I can help. And I was like, I wouldn't ask you to do that. And she's like, she's like, it's not a problem.
Dude, and
And I was like, that's
she'll do 1,000 tasks in a day. She sits at that computer, she's like, put it up, done, put it up, done, put it up, done. I'm over here going, which way do I put this cursor?
yeah. How do
I
I right click?
right click. That's weird, But I do. You mentioned the demographic of this, and it's great because it wasn't planned to have a back-to-back show. If you remember, we
No.
had one with you, and then we rescheduled when we could because
Yeah.
that one went off the rails. And it just so happens when you said it, you're like, oh, you're on the show, and then I went, oh wait, he's before me. We're like back to back. That never happens.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? A little
I think it
different.
worked out. I think it worked out perfectly, honestly. Like it's because we discussed paranormal side last night, and for
Yeah.
those of you that don't know, Richie is very heavily involved into the Bigfoot scene, whereas I'm paranormal, and I admitted to him last night on his show, I'm really not keen or knowledgeable on Bigfoot at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's something where it's going to be an interesting show because like I've I've never really uh experienced much with it. So
Right. And it is different because I like when the paranormal world comes to me and kind of talks to me about it. And I love the fact with Get Haunted, we're on the Get Haunted network. I love the fact that with them is that we can mix and mingle these. And
of
then you
course.
start seeing a lot of the paranormal is connected like
Hmm.
passionately to the cryptid world.
Of course.
And that's gotta
It
say
all blends
something.
together.
But that's got to say something. That's got to tell you something about it. You know what I mean? It's mythical and magical, and it all kind of blends together. It's crazy, dude. I love it
Of
because I started out in the
course.
paranormal world. That's where I started. I didn't start out in the woods.
All right. Before we jump into it here, real
J.
quick, let's
Lou.
say some hellos. Hey, Jim Lewis, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Yep, me too. That's
Uh,
my boy.
we got Miss Bobby Lee over here. She's
Of
cleaning up the
course.
banter file as we
Yeah.
speak.
I
She's
tend to
multitasking.
I tend to mess up the room once in a while. Thanks, Bobby Lee. You're amazing.
My good friend Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. Nice to meet you.
Woj.
Wojo.
What's going on,
Woj.
Wojo?
What's up, my man? And of course, our friend out. Look at Coy. Oh, there's Mary, my
Yep.
sister Mary. All right.
Courtney Peterson's in here. We got
Oh,
Mary
nice.
in here. Mary, thank you for coming by. I know you listened to Richie's show last night. Thank you for coming to my show. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Purple Blur.
Purple Blur. I have no idea who that is.
No, we've already been through this. And it's funny because when that guy Dave was coming into the shows, everybody was like, Dave. And now when Purple Blur comes in, everybody's like, I don't know who Purple Blur is. And I think Purple likes it like that. You know what I mean? I think he called himself Blurple Purr or something one night. What was that you called yourself?
It kind of sounds like a strand that you get from the dispensary.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is, bro. Right? There you go. Good to see you guys. Thanks for jumping over and saying, yeah, Blurple. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, bro. Oh, there's my boy Ron from Florida. You started
awesome
in the violent street world. Yeah, I did, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Right. Actually, I wanted to get in that a little bit. That was something I wanted to touch on with you. Is your history and kind of where it led you to today. So you know what? We got a couple listeners in here. We're streaming on a bunch of different platforms right now. So you know, go ahead and tell your story. Tell us your upbringing a little bit and kind of, you know, let everybody know who you are, what makes you Richie B.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, it's it's weird because I'm so open about this and I talk about it all the time. And for a long time I didn't. I was embarrassed the way, you know, some of the things, the way I was brought up. You know, my parents tried, you know, they just weren't experienced. You know what I mean? You know, and I
don't mean to interrupt you, but
we have to.
There's the boss.
Everybody, clean up a little bit. Hello, how are you, Miss Jenny Davis? Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
She's listening from the car somewhere in Wisconsin right now, I'm sure.
How was that, Russ? Did I do good, Russ? I did what you told me to do.
Perfect.
I did what you told me. Perfect. I got the cue card right here.
You stuck to the script.
I was reading the cue card. No, Courtney, always thank you, man. So you know, we had kind of a crazy upbringing. There was a lot of chaos, you know, from one particular parent, and you know, it was just not great memories all the time. We had memories that were good. I had a great neighborhood. I had great neighborhood friends. We played kick the can. You know, life was good back then. And then the daytime would, you know, come and we'd all just beat each other up because that's what the neighborhood did too. So you'd play baseball, get in a fight. I grew up in the backwoods too, you know. And,
and there's nothing else to do.
Oh yeah, South Shore, Massachusetts, backwoods. You know, hi Denise. I was loving your show. I was loving your show. Yeah, so I grew up back there, and you know, just to kind of speed forward, because one thing I don't like doing is putting a lot of it on my folks. You know what I mean? I don't like, you know, because everybody kind of reflects that when it comes to a child, you know. And that wasn't necessarily it. I ran with the wrong crowds. I got into school. I wasn't very studious. I didn't like structure. I didn't like bosses. I've had teachers, you know, throw books at my head and I throw them back, stuff like that. I just wasn't made for that type of stuff at the time. I was very upset and angry. There was a lot of opportunity that I could have had, didn't take advantage of, or wasn't even pushed in the direction as far as athletics go, things like that. And, you know, just like I said, speed it up a little bit. I was 14 years old. And I was homeless. My mother went off one direction. I told her I was renting a room off a friend, basically, and with every intention of screwing that up, you know what I mean? And you know, eventually that's what I did, you know. And there were nights when I was a teenager, and you know, by this already 14 to 15 years old, I was a full-blown alcoholic, drug addict. I became a try addict. I get drunk and try anything, didn't matter what it was, you know what I mean? I was fist fighting grown men. You know, it was just chaos at a very, very young age. And when I reflect now, I have 6 kids, and I reflect now and see my kids at that age, and I'm like, there's no way there's no way, you know what I mean? You know, back then was a little bit different, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I lived on the streets. I had a reputation as someone who lived on the streets. I wasn't exactly personable.
You were the South Shore Aladdin.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, we'll go with Aladdin. Sure, I got the color tonight to you know, to prove it, right? What's up, Aladdin? But no, so I, you know, I was like in, you know, Brockton and Abington and Rockland, and you know, just all around there, just a menace all around the South Shore, menace. You know, I had trouble with the police. You know, high speed chase. I was a punk. You know what I mean? You know, and there were things that happened to me throughout that. It's funny how your mind collects things. And again, I'm kind of speeding through this a little bit in a sense, because, you know, sometimes there's certain things I don't want to touch on. But I was a full blown alcoholic and addict. I got into cocaine and all that stuff, you know. At one point I was collecting money for the man, because I was a young kid. I couldn't get thrown in jail. I was still a minor.
Yeah.
So if you owed him money, then I would show up and go get it. And that's a very dangerous game to be playing at that age. And I thought I was something, at a very young age that I was playing big boy games, and I hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom at a very young age. I was in bar rooms. I was, constantly in barroom fights. All the cops knew me. I had a choice at 18. The judge basically said, I told the judge I had signed up for the military and I was just in this awful high-speed chase and totally disrespectful to the police. And that's not who I am. You know what I mean? It was not my mother did put a foundation in me that morals and manners, respect and all that. And step aside for women and the elderly and stuff like that and respect your elders. So I did have that in there as a very young age, old school Italian. My mother wouldn't just crack you in the back of the head. She'd make you go in the corner and do what we call Oompa Loompas. Do you know what an Oompa Loompa is, anybody?
I've heard of it, but I refresh like.
All right, so an Oompa Loompa is when you go in the corner. Remember the little dudes from what is it, Wonka there, whatever?
Yep.
Oompa Loompa. She would make you do deep knee bends. Yeah. When we go, and me and my brother made a joke of it. Oompa Loompa, Oompa do you do? And that's what we did. Needless to say, I had 28-inch legs in high school. They were massive. So I was.
So you weren't lying. You messed up a lot.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was a feisty one, and I was a running back for Rockland High, just blowing through people because my legs were like adult size. So anyway, so I got, I was, like I said, basically became a menace. And after the barroom stage got really bad, I started thank God I was so vain and arrogant that I didn't at the time, and doesn't make me better than anybody, please. I'm not saying that. I'm saying but for the grace of God, there go I was very fortunate. I didn't have to put any needles in my arms or anything like that, because I would not be here. There's no way I would have lived through that. I was too reckless. But I smoked a lot of shit. Let's just put it that way. I did a lot of LSD. I tripped balls all through the 80s. I was out of my freaking mind. So yeah, I did all that shit. I was nuts. And thank God, September 21st, 1997, man. Something. I woke up. I was down in Hull partying. I was on like a 7-day tear. I had all the magic working. I had all the magic work, and I had the drug dealer over here. There would have been a couple of fights, blah, blah, blah. I owed this guy money, that guy money. And then I woke up, and this guy was in a condo, my buddy's condo. And I remember I walked into the bathroom, and the bathrooms are real small downstairs in these condos. And the mirror was right there. And for the first time, and I couldn't tell you how long, I caught myself in the eye. I didn't mean to do that. That was a mistake, because we know better. I didn't want to look at me. I know I didn't want to look at me. I knew the little boy was in there, because I fought people because I was scared. I fought people because I was absolutely 100% afraid, and I have no problem saying that today. And I fought people to survive. There was no rules. There was none of that bullshit. You know what I mean? I hurt a lot of people, and very bad. I was very bad dude. And I was like, when I caught myself in that mirror, that little boy, man, jumped right out at me. Like, what are you doing? I remember that coming out of, it came out of my conscience almost instantaneous. Yep. And then I stopped and stared at me, because I had already been caught, kind of feeling. Yep. So I stared at me.
You had that epiphany of like, something needs to change.
Yeah. And I knew that for a long time, but this was the moment. This was the awakening. This was that flash. There's that moment of clarity.
Yep.
That something greater than yourself gives you, because I can't muster this up on my own. There's no way. I just froze, and I just stared at me, and I was just like, I remember seeing tears roll down my cheeks, and I said, oh my God, I got to get out of this situation.
So one of my good friends, and it's probably a
thanks, Courtney.
I've known a lot of addicts, alcoholics in my life. Just like you, I grew up in a small town in Ohio where, the saying was, there's only 3 things to do in the small town. It's fuck, fight, or do drugs.
Right.
It's one of those things. And
I did them all every night. Yeah.
It's one of the greatest pieces of advice I've heard from anybody, and this is from a 30-year recovering addict. Mm-hmm. And they said, no addict is going to get themselves clean unless they want to get themselves clean.
They have
to have that want.
You got to have the want, but you got to have that moment of clarity. The moment of clarity
Hmm.
is key for everybody. And
Now,
that's
do you
why
think
it's
that was
so
rock bottom for you?
100%, because I had probably 20, 30, 24-hour chips from AA. You know what I mean? They were just like, flicking them away, heads or tails. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, it didn't
yeah.
even matter to me. And the pain that I was feeling was so drastic. I knew inside everything I was doing was wrong, completely wrong. And when I had that little talk with myself, I was like, how do I get out of this situation? I owe this dude money. This girl thinks I love her. You know what I mean? Like, it was a mess. My buddies like count on me for this or count me on for that. And what if the guy comes back? I'm the one who's got to beat him up. All this stuff was there. And I said, how else do you get yourself out of trouble? With a Dunkin' Donuts list? You get yourself out of, right. You make a Dunkin' Donuts list. Like, who wants
Yeah.
coffee?
Yep.
Taking a list here. Who wants what you want, brother? You know what I mean? What you
Right.
got, girl? You know what I mean? What's
You,
happening?
you're the intern for the office running to get coffee.
It kicks in a survival mode, and just maybe a scumbag one last time. You know what I mean? Just gotta lie my way out of it. And I made a list, and I had to go, like, when you're in Hull and you gotta go to where I gotta go, it's way out. It's a long
Yeah.
stroll. I got a couple of rides on the way. I got to a payphone. Payphones are those things that, well, never mind. So I got to the payphone, and I called my kid's mom. She was my first wife, and she picks up the phone. She goes, "Yeah, you ready yet, or what?" She's home the whole time. This mess is going on, and I said, "Yeah, I'm done." She goes, "You know where you got to be tonight, right?" It was a Sunday, and I tried this meeting before, and I said, 100%. And I walked into a meeting in Hanson, Massachusetts, called Hanson Unity, and I walked up to the door, and they were like, "What's your sobriety date?" And it was like September 20th, right? But I'm like, well, I'm still kind of fucked up from last night. So many drugs in me, right? So I said, I'm going to add 24 hours. Is that against the rules? They're like, no, whatever you want. So September 21st became my sobriety date of
That's awesome.
1997. And from that moment on, it hasn't changed. And I've had many beautiful, beautiful gifts. The program was obviously very difficult. Vexity to see that you see there, Ron. He's got 34 years come Wednesday.
Awesome. Congratulations, Ron.
Thank you, Claude. There 100% benefits, and I'm living them benefits, and I'm living the gifts of sobriety. I'll just give you a quick example just to move through it, because my whole sobriety is a whole different story. I started to find myself. Thank you, Courtney. I started to find myself, and yeah, Ronnie was there at that meeting. My boy DC was there at that meeting, and they're still my friends. And I think Richie T was there. So yeah. So I'll tell you what happened was September 21st. My 4-year-old was born 4 years ago. And he'll be 5 this September 21st, and you can't, there's no way that that's not a gift many years later in my sobriety, that I get to have a son. We share, my sobriety date is his birthday. You know what I mean? He's born September 21st, man. Like, that's just amazing. So those are the miracles that can happen. And every year I put up a post real quick. Every year I put up a post talking about my sobriety, talking about my story, and leave my phone number, and 365 for life, 24 hours a day. You call that number, you shoot me a message. I 100% will talk to you. And and many of my friends that have done it can tell you that's absolute factual. When I tell you something, that's it. It's on. Again, that's street mentality. I'm as loyal as loyal gets, and sometimes to a fault, but it hurts a little bit, but it's not to a fault that I didn't live by my standards. So that's, so it's not a fault technically.
I mean, your road to redemption story is absolutely amazing, and I think the biggest thing of it is what a lot of people don't do. You did, and that's take accountability.
Yes.
You knew you were screwing up. You knew
Mm.
this isn't how I want to live. You just needed that rock bottom moment to pull yourself up and be like, I have to do this. And with your son being born on the 21st,
Many
that
years
is
later.
that it well, obviously, but that's God's way of saying, if you would have kept down the road you were on, this would have never happened.
I'm 100% dead, and a relapse is death as well for me. And I had the gift of well, I say it's a gift. I don't recommend this. This was my higher power choosing what was right for me, because I was so hardcore, because I was on the edge constantly. I rehabbed myself, and I woke up in the middle of the night sometimes, and it was like someone took battery cables on each side of my temple, and it would go boom, 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 and it shook me right out of bed, and I'd wake up like, what was that noise? What was that noise? And it kept happening to the point where I was stuck between the bed and the wall, and I was in tears. And my first wife was like, Rich, you all right? I said, I don't know what I did to my body. I think I could be dying. So you got to be careful, because what happens is you put all these chemicals in your body, and your kinetic energy runs to the middle. Well, when you put those chemicals in, it breaks up your kinetic energy. So what happens is your kinetic energy is like two magnets fighting to get back together. So that's what happens. That's why they put you on medicines and monitor you, because of the drugs that are out there. That's probably where I should have been. But again, and I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. I had a spiritual awakening. That's 100% mine. It's 100% true. I knew what it meant. I knew what it was for, and I knew what it was when it hit me. And I was able to not have any desire to drink or drug from that moment on, period, end of discussion. It was gone, forever gone. And I've been in places where, I'd go and pick up my friends, or I go grab them, go play softball. I'm like, I don't usually go get beers for people, but every once in a while I'll go grab a 30 pack. That stuff doesn't bother me. So, I'm working on 27 years sobriety coming this September. And there's no way I don't make it without guys like Ron, without guys like DC, without guys like Richie T, getting down, talking about the real shit. Like, why are you here? Like the judge looking at me and saying, you can go do 5 years in prison, or you can go to the military. You know what I mean? Like you told me you were gonna. He goes, but I'm gonna send a court officer to your house in 6 months. And if you're not at Fort Bend in Georgia, your ass is going to prison. And I called my mother, like I always did all the time. When you had free time, you call Mom. Richard, there was a court officer here today. Like 6 months later. What's up, Danger? And they kept their word. They meant what they said. They sent somebody to make sure my ass was in the military, or they're gonna throw me in prison. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So yeah, it was crazy, man. Look at all the formats you got going. As soon as you say one thing, everybody's comments disappear.
I know. I'm trying to stay up with them. This is Jenny's thing. She normally pops it on, but we got Danger in the room.
Danger, what's up, my brother? I love his story too. Amazing story.
Yeah.
Blown away by that. I can relate to a point. And Ernie's back over here from his kick-ass show. Ernie had a kick-ass show with Bigfoot, and I was digging all that talk. Oh, 100%. And I'm trying to type, and the kids are running out of my studio, and I'm sending like half sentences. And his guests like, what this guy over here is saying, because I didn't know what the hell I was saying. It made no sense, the poor dude. I was like, no, sorry, typo. Like, excuse me, sorry. Yeah,
no, but that's great. You know what? I always love to hear a good feel good story, a good redemption story of, coming back in. And Jenny in the room mentioned her husband's almost 7 years sober. Which
awesome.
I've known Chris for her husband Chris for a while, and congratulations to him. It's great. It's not fantastic.
Easy,
no,
it's not easy. The moment that life changes is when you deal with life on life's terms without thinking of that. You don't need a drink. You don't need a drug. You don't need to get violent. You don't need to run off with a strange woman. Like all that stuff just goes away. When you can deal with an issue straightforward, like a normal person can, that's when life gets a little easier for you, when that's gone. And from that moment, from my spiritual awakening on, it was so much easier, because I was just like, well, shit happens. I got to go. I'm a survivor. You know what I mean? I'm a fighter. Like,
you take away the distractions, and you're,
or you face them and go through them.
Yep.
Right. I mean, shit happens, right? It's no big deal. I'm not on some pedestal. I'm not grandiose. I'm not unique. You have the same shit happen to you. Your car breaks down like mine does. Why do I have to think about doing a drug because my car broke down? You know what I mean? Think about it.
Yeah.
So that's when you get past that, it's totally different. Booze, drugs, strange women. Sounds like my 20. Yeah, bro. That was my teenage life, man. And I got sober when I was 26. A lot of people don't get sober when they're 26 years old. I was 26 years old when I got sober, man. That's in your prime, but that tells you how quickly I burnt out all those beautiful privileges. From 14 to 26, I pissed through everything. It was over,
It kind of sounds like you were burning the candle at both ends.
And in the middle. Yeah.
Yep.
I threw that shit right in the fire. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, hey, check out this kid. Let's just get to it,
All
you
right.
know?
So
Yeah.
what we're gonna do now is, I really, really appreciate you opening up about yourself. I
Thank you.
mean,
Yeah.
that's something that is absolutely amazing, and you're a testament to what can be done. And
Yeah. I
anybody out
appreciate
there
that.
that's struggling with anything, reach out to Richie. I mean,
Yeah.
he can guide you in the right direction and everything. So it's you got to want to do it though. You got to want to do it yourself.
I totally
And
agree with that. You have to take that first step. It's about that
so,
first step. You got to take that first step.
as Danger said, you went from booze, drugs, and strange women to replacing it with the next best thing,
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot. What's up, Bigfoot? Yeah, that's my boy now. Now that's my boy. Yeah, I'll be appearing here in Charming Fair Farm in Candia. And it was cool because I called her up. They were looking for presenters, and you have to fill out like a form, and they kind of choose you and they look at your evidence and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, I
Let
love
me
your
guess,
stuff."
Bobby Lee did that for you.
I said, all right, so you're partly right. So I sent it, and I said, "Hey, I think I sent him a bunch of stuff that looks like sixth grader did it. Can you neaten it up for me?" And of course, she made it nice and professional and sent it back up. But yeah, the lady called me and says, "We'd love to have you." And so I talked to her for a little while, and I said, "Hey, how do you guys feel about having a podcast live that day?" And she's
Yeah,
like, "What?" And she goes, "That'd be amazing." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I got to talk with my producer." I said, but she's the one that does all the technical stuff. But we've already discussed doing this anyways. I said, why don't we come up there and we'll set up live? We'll have a podcast. I can talk to all your guests and maybe have a few of the Bigfoot guests that are there because I already know some of the headliners. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
they can come over and talk and stuff. And she's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So that she had to get approval for it. Called me back and said, "Yeah, we want you to do that." So yeah, we're gonna be broadcasting live on June 22nd and 23rd. And Candia, New Hampshire, if you're around, there's a cool scouting for Bigfoot. And the cool thing is, after everybody leaves that night, I'm trying to put it together. My buddy Mike Trainer came up with this idea. Get together with all the headline Bigfoot people and head out into the woods with them after hours and go on go
Ooh.
Bigfooting with them. It would be like an epic dream come true for me. Like, seriously, bro.
That needs to go on HBO. Like that's like
Dude,
After Dark with Bigfoot.
I'm telling you, some of these dudes are big names. They're big names. If you're not into the cryptid world, I'm probably speaking a little bit of different language to you, but it's pretty kick-ass. It's very interesting. If if you've seen ghosts or you're open-minded about ghosts and open-minded about the paranormal, you could definitely open your mind to cryptids very easily. It's an easy jump. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Oh,
Come
Danger
on
wants to
up,
go.
Danger. Yeah, where's Danger though? Is he over by Rob? Or where's he at?
I'm not sure.
What part of the world you at, Danger? What else we got? Oh, look at this. So here it is. So this is one of the things when I had my experiences at my house. I become a feverish like researcher. Like I need to know everything, right? And so I watched abundance of hours of TV and all that stuff, right? Dirty Jersey, you're not that far, bro. You North Jersey or South Jersey? Dirty sounds like North. Just saying, bro. might have seen a few streets there. That's all. It was by accident. I woke up there. Whatever. We'll talk sometime. But yeah. So so this guy here had documentaries. After I got done with the production, the Bigfoot show I don't like talking about and all that TV stuff, I started getting into the documentaries. Well, this guy here, Alex Petikoff, was boots on the ground. Like I was following him everywhere he went, and he would like, where the hell did Russ go? I lost my host. Anybody see my host? The Mythical Central. Oh, that's even better, Cass. Oh, that's good, Danger. Has anybody seen the host? I'll just keep talking.
I'm still here.
Hit
I'm still here. I was just giving you the floor.
You don't have to give me the floor. Stay with me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to hang out with you. Look up, the host is gone.
I like to pull a disappearing act.
Just hit your vape. Everybody's fine with it. So yeah, so I watched all his stuff. So he's a really big name. Small Town Monsters. He's worked really hard editing his own stuff and out there like Les Stroud with his own camera and stuff and doing his own thing, and then he makes up all his own stuff. So I watched all his stuff. He got in with another guy. I think they're still connected, Seth Greenlove, and he does Bigfoot Beyond the Trail. If you go on YouTube, these guys they're it. They're the big. They are it. And unbelievable. Their stuff is unbelievable. So, anyways, as you can see, the excitement in my voice. On like my 20th something show, I get to sit down with Alex Petikoff on March 19th. We were talking back.
I thought I was your biggest show yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, but not March 19th. Now shut up. No, I was kidding. All right, give me the floor. Give me the floor. Get out of here. What are you doing here? No, so this guy is the Pine Barrens. Yeah, put that up. That's the Pine Barrens. Yeah, you want to know some stuff about so you must be in the cryptids a little bit anyways, right, Danger? The Pine Barrens are famous for cryptids. So yeah, so I was talking. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, so I was talking. There was this incident up in New Hampshire, and he was going in to investigate it. And I shot him a message, and I said, "Hey, happy hunting up in so and so," And he goes, "How the hell did you know about that?" Because I'm just little podcast guy, right? But I have a lot of friends. I really do have a lot of connections, right? So I said, "Well, I'm a little bit more than I like to appear to be." I said to him, and it's true. I don't want to be out there with all this stuff, And so we started talking anyways. And I said, dude, why don't you come on my show? Because he's so busy, right? It'll take this guy, gave me his phone number, right? A while back at a Paracon or whatever it was. And he was a guest speaker, right? And so we were talking. He gives me his cell number. You have any questions? Call me. I'm like, what? Guy, cell number, dude? You're all over the world, all over the country, all over North America, constantly on YouTube making movies and shows or whatever, your documentaries, How the hell are you going to have time for me? You know what I mean? And sure enough, like I texted him one time and asked him a question. Like 3 weeks later, he's like, "Hey, wicked sorry, dude. I was out in British Columbia. Sorry it took so long to get back to you." And I go, "Bro, why the hell would you be sorry?"
Right.
I'm watching what's going on my TV, bro. I know you're busy. He's just a humble dude. And he's been so helpful to me. I said, "Why don't you just come on my show? Every time we talk, it flows, bro." And he's like, "Yeah, you know what? I got a date. What date's available?" I said, "I'll move whatever you need me to move." I really would. I mean, I'm sure people would understand, but I didn't have to move anybody. So it worked out perfect that he was coming on. I offered him Saturdays. I told him Wednesdays I'd make it an exclusive. I didn't give a shit what night it was, But yeah, so he's coming. He's a humble dude. I'm truly blessed. You know what I mean? So he'll be here on the 19th sitting with me. And he's kind of a subdued fella. So me and Woj were talking some kind of things, maybe you got to turn it down a little bit, Richie. You know what I mean? I'm like, sorry. I'll take half my meds that day. Is that fair?
Speaking of Woj.
Yeah. What's he got? Oh, here we go. That's my boy Wojo. So Wojo I've known for many years through softball. We always played against each other. He always played on the better teams because he hit bombs. But he started get interested into when I started pushing out my cryptid stuff. His brothers are kick-ass paranormal investigators. They were on my show in Northwood Paranormal. And he's also the one that had an experience with the Thunderbird in the Bridgewater Triangle, Matthew. And great people. So anyways, me and Woj out there hunting ever since. So what I have on my show, it's a little interactive. I have people come in and sit on stage. They can click a link. And, again, I say something to Bobby Lee with my crazy visions and she makes it come true. You click the link, you come into my show like me and Russ are right now and sit here and talk to us and ask the guest questions or whatever. Tell your story, tell your experience. My boy Ronnie's done it. His brother did it. And I also have Bigfooting with a fan. And that's what I did. And I took him on my first one. My fiance couldn't make it to this particular one we had planned out. And I said, hey, I knew he was wicked interested. I said, I want to do Bigfooting with a fan. You want to come Bigfoot with me? And he's like, when? I'm like, in the morning, 7 a.m. Dude's like, all right. So that's it. We've been Bigfooting ever since. Now we bought the merch. Make sure you buy the merch. That's what Wojo says. Buy the merch. So yeah, so that's pretty kick-ass. It's good. And now I'm going to do Sasquatching with a skeptic. That's my next one.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Wojo, Jay Hughes. That's who I'm bringing. Oh, look at this. There's my boy, Brian Terrell. Is that Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations out of Oklahoma. He's my guest Tuesday night.
Very nice. Very nice.
He's my
now, I wanted to get to that because you run two shows. You run a show on Saturday night that's kind of aimed towards the paranormal.
Yep.
Or kind of like a plethora of topics, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's paranormal. It's just we get off the rails.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
and then your Tuesday show, that's more your Bigfoot kind of show, your cryptid kind of.
That is where it started for me. That is my passion. I started out doing paranormal, so I didn't want to let go of that. But with the experiences that I've had that brought me to where I am, Bigfoot and the cryptids have become my absolute 100% passion. Good to have you, man. Brian Terrell, good to have you. So Tuesday night, 7 p.m., you will find Banter with Richie B. We talk all about Bigfoot. We have had some cryptid talk, the cryptids, dogmans. I'm trying to get into these other ones. I can only attest to what I've experienced. Am I open-minded about everything? Absolutely 100%. You know what I mean? I said Saturday. Ronald, stop yelling.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I said Saturday too. I could have slipped up though.
Russell. Was it Russell or me? Tell the truth, Ronald.
Call me out. It's fine. You're my second show of 4 this week, so
yeah, no cap.
No cap.
Here we go again.
So,
hit me with it.
So I kind of want to get these all knocked out of the way a little bit before we jump into. I mean, if we go over a little bit, not a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something from Miss Bobby Lee herself.
Oh God. Oh, okay, that's good. Yes. So want me to do it for you, buddy?
Yeah, go for
it. So Tough Rock.
Put on your announcer voice.
Well, that's right, Jim. Over here at the Tough Rock, we have ourselves Bobby Lee Hubbard. Not only is she an amazing producer at the Banter with Richie B podcast, she's also a kick-ass veteran, and she's about to do a 26.2-mile marathon with a 60-pound ruck on her back just to help out her fellow veterans that are wounded, lost, or their spouses. So check it out. runsignup.com/Bobby Lee, man. Make sure you donate. Be a sponsor, however they do it. Get in there and click the button. And that's coming up in April, man. She's gonna be roped. That's not a Sunday stroll, my brother.
And I know I got a lot of veteran friends out there, so please, by all means, go donate, show your support. Do what you can, guys. I mean, let's show out for one of our own.
Absolutely, kick ass.
So I had a thought earlier, and I was thinking about this, and it was a question I wanted to ask. You were fortunate enough to live in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Oh yeah,
and for those who don't know what the Bridgewater Triangle is, kind of tell them a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so the Bridgewater Triangle is I guess, mythical place with a lot, not just folklore, but facts. It's had tons of cryptid sightings from Puckwudgies to Dogman. What was said to be Dogman. They didn't really have the name for it back when those sightings were around, but Sasquatch, we know that there's been multiple Class A sightings documented from police officers. From Andrade is one of the one. Andrade is one of the ones. He's the big one that saw him about a mile and a half from my property, walking around a pond. There's a Class A sighting by the Hanson Dump in 2018, actually. Very recent. So there's ghost lights out there. There's I've been out there twice. No, I've been out there more than twice, but on 2 different occasions, I heard the drums, Native Americans were playing the drums with a low chant. And it's funny because I turn around with the people I was with. I'm like, did you hear that? They're like, what's that? I go, you can't hear the drums and the chanting right now? They're like, nope. It's almost selective. It's absolutely bizarre. And I just did an investigation on Exploring with Phil, 2 L's. And my buddy from Richie from Shadow Side Paranormal. Small Town Monsters. Yep, yeah, absolutely. Yep. And I was talking, he does Strange Places now too. That's another one of his shows. There's Alex Petikoff is what he's talking about, Small Town Monsters. He did an episode on it, and there was other documentaries made on it as well. Cult activity, murders, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff you read about,
Now, the question I had is, what got me thinking is I've been researching a little bit about Skinwalker Ranch.
Yep.
So do you think that the Bridgewater Triangle is our own kind of East Coast Skinwalker Ranch? I mean, you have claims of everything.
I think it could be. The energy's different. I think the energy is more at one time. So I believe Skinwalker Ranch had a lot of human element to it. Not only did it, I believe under the ground, there was, they were doing studies and things like that. So there's things that they don't kind of tell you. I also believe a lot of the energy from Skinwalker Ranch is underground from terrestrial beings. You know what I mean? Were you right there? Excuse me. I'm sorry. I need a water.
No, you're fine.
Thank you. Thank you, assistant.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. That was.
Anything else?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Sin.
You're welcome.
That was the doll.
Okay, no, fantastic.
But no, I think they very much have a lot of similarities. Whereas to the Bridgewater Triangle, they actually kind of have a source that's in the books, and they talk about the King Philip's War between the Native Americans and the colonists. The colonists were having problems back and forth with them, and eventually they came to war. And that war, they had skirmishes all the way up to Vermont years after the war was deemed over, and King Phillips was killed, murdered, hung, however you want to look at it. The Hockomock Swamp is the main source. They believe the Native Americans cursed the land. You have Native American burial grounds all over the place in there. It's crazy. There's an area in the triangle actually on Route 44, not far from my house, that the hitchhiker goes up and down with a red flannel shirt, and he said that, like, thumb looking for a ride. You know what I mean? I haven't seen him yet, but I don't know. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff. So excuse me, I got allergies.
No, you're perfectly fine. No worries at all, my friend.
So yeah, so similar.
It was just a thought I had in my head. I can think
it's a good thought.
because, like I said, I don't know much about. I've studied a couple cryptids. Of course, growing up in Ohio, Mothman was the big one for me. So, but it's just the Bridgewater Triangle and the Skinwalker Ranch just had striking similarities as to activity and just the overall how things are presented and what's being seen there and things like that. So it's very, very interesting.
It is. I think it's just a higher scale energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As to, and I think one's newly manifested compared to kind of ancient.
Yeah.
So you get different mythical type creatures. So the area that we're talking about generally is the Southeast Mass region, goes down to the South Coast. Lorne Coleman dubbed it the Bridgewater Triangle many years ago, more for publicity, because it went with the Bridgewater Triangle. Now you have the Alaska Triangle, this triangle, that triangle. You know what I mean? So, but it's actually a bigger area. Really, it can be said from Plymouth into Rhode Island. I know there's places in Rhode Island that are just as nuts. So the whole southeastern Mass and goes up towards the south of Boston, basically. Someone asked that question, so I wanted to answer. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna toss that up. Denise says we need to come down. So you know what? When you go down to Kentucky, I'll ride with you, and we'll go out there and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, listen, I absolutely 100% would be honored to be invited to such great people that have so many cool experiences. You know what I mean? I wonder if these locations sit on intersections. Yeah, they talk about that with Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know so much about my own area because, again, it's been so steeped in Native American folklore that's kind of where everybody ends up hanging their hat. You know what I mean? But it's a great question. Yeah, 100%.
All right, so let's get into some of your experiences here.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
Again, thank you to Miss Bobby Lee over here for doing this for me. Bigfoot.
Yeah, Foot. Oh, she brought that one up. Now that one's too controversial just to bring up. So this here,
okay, we'll skip over this one for you.
Yeah, see, that's a tough one.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
I did,
but I think
Brian
Terrell saw what I saw. No, I know you didn't. No, that's okay. No, that one. The reason why is I let that one sit for years, and I didn't want to touch it because I wanted like scientific stuff and all this stuff. And then I started getting things like this happening to me, and then that one became lighter to where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to talk about it. Screw it. So this here is a piece of lichen, right? Go to the next picture. Let me see if she's got the big picture. No, she doesn't. All right, go back. So this piece of lichen here. So I had a friend of mine, when I started having experiences, I started getting stuff thrown at me from the backyard. I would hear walking around. My land abuts, say it's about 3 acres of land, and abuts 94 acres of conservation land. That 94 acres touches what is known as like the Taunton River and stuff, right?
Yep.
So So I'm working in the yard, having a fire, whatever it is, and I'm hearing snapping and breaking, and it's way off in the distance, though. And if you know the area, there's a neighborhood here and there's a neighborhood here, and it bottlenecks right to my property. So the only way to this area basically is through someone's yard. I've owned the property since 2002. I had listened to this for years, and to the point where I was like, all right, who's out there? Like, that's just bizarre. You know what I mean? No hammers, no nails, no guns, nothing like that. Just snapping of trees. And I started hearing footfall and stuff. So I shared the story with a friend of mine, and he says, you need a gifting stump. I said, what the hell's a gifting stump, bro? He goes, just like it sounds, you put a gift on it, and if you're dealing with a Sasquatch, they'll bring you a gift back. So I'm like, so I'm over here going, yeah, okay, guy. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't take it serious, but I was very desperate. I was desperate. No, I don't smoke marijuana either because I can't have anything mind altering, or I end up saying fuck it. So, anyways, moving on. So I walk out there, right? And I have a neighbor that's pretty close to me. My game trail's right here. So I walk out there, I got these hot oatmeal raisin cookies, my absolute favorite. I hold them up. I said, I'm going to leave you some oatmeal raisin. I'm talking to the woods. The neighbor's more concerned than he was the day before. So I'm like, hey, here you go, So I put it down on the stump. I said, those are my favorite cookies. So I take these two little saplings and I put on either side of the cookies. So if like a squirrel gets up there, it'll bump the sapling and I'll know something crawled on the stump instead of picked it up from the stump, right? So I'm trying to be scientific here, right? Any way I can with this silliness, right? So then I clear out around the stump, and I put in like an area of dirt and sand, so if different colors fall, I can see them. Like I'm trying to be scientific, because this is, like, to me at the moment, is nonsense. You know what I mean? But I'm going to do it because I'm desperate. And I've been dealing with this for a while at this point. So 2 days go by, my oatmeal cookies are still there. But the strange thing is, not a bird, not a squirrel, not a bug touched those friggin' cookies.
Interesting.
In itself, right? So I said, what in the hell? So now I'm mad, though. I'm a little offended. So I don't know if you know me. I'm a little outspoken, even to something in the woods I can't see. So I yell out to the woods, hey, man, those are my favorite cookies, and you're not even going to take them? I'm yelling out to the woods. Now the neighbor's really scared, right? So I come back out the next day. The cookies are gone. So I immediately start looking around the stump like this. The saplings are perfectly straight. Nothing's bumped them. There's not a crumb anywhere. I'm on my knees like this, looking around the stump for any kind of crumbs or something that was foraging it, or, a bird picking it up or pecking at it. Anything, nothing, spotless. So there's a fence right there. And my vision is, if it was a Sasquatch, it would have to lean over the fence and pick it up. So I go over there, and sure enough, there's a depression in the compost. So that's the problem, is I have compost ancient compost. This land is ancient farmland. It's been around, farmed on forever, but it's all trees and compost. The chances of finding a clear footprint are basically 0 to maybe 1%. Okay. So I see this impression. I go, maybe, that's weird. So I go inside, whatever. Next day, come out, nothing. Next day, come out, nothing. Now the third day comes out. Now, guess what? I'm yelling out to the freaking woods again. Really? Nothing? You don't give me nothing? Now you've taken my cookies and you don't even bring nothing back? I'm like, seriously, dude. I'm like yelling out. I'm serious. I'm really doing this, right? So I check like another day, nothing. Next day I come out, and in between, Bigfoot's very picky. And listen, I know. I appreciate you saying that. I don't even know who that is, but thank you. I found that out.
Well, obviously, with you yelling at it, probably didn't help.
Well, but it knows my intent. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, put up your dukes, listen, see, I'm going to give you a left and then a right, boy. You bring me my gift. It wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? It was like, hey, man, So I come back the next day, and there's this perfectly torn piece of lichen, as light as a feather, placed in between the two saplings. And I stood there and I stared at it, and I had goosebumps probably from my toes all the way up my spine, up to my ears, into my hair. And I'm just like, what just happened? Like, there's no way. It made it so that's what I hear, Brian. It was so profound. And what this said to me was, nobody could do this. Because I don't know if you guys have ever tried to tear a perfect piece of lichen off a tree. I deal with power washing, so I know what lichen is pretty well. It's thinner than paper, and it crumbles. And this thing was perfectly torn and placed here. The wind didn't put it there between those two saplings. I can assure you that. Yeah. Right? And it absolutely blew my mind. And I picked it up and I put it in a little baggie. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And of course, I yelled, thank you. Thank you so much for that. You know what I mean? Like, I really appreciate it. I'm waving away. So I did it one other time. I had the Reese's Pieces, and I sense I'm not there as much more. My first wife's there with my oldest kids. But I go back and forth, obviously, to say hi to my buddies, the Sasquatch in the woods. And I did Reese's Pieces in like the Easter bag. You know, they make it look like a carrot.
Of course.
Yeah. So I put them there. Same thing happened a couple of days. Now I'm more patient. I'm like, it takes them a little while. They'll be fine. Yeah. So they go away. Yes. It was. Thank you. Well, bring that comment up, Joshua. This is that's a profound statement, sir. And you might not even realize it. It's a father, a woman, a father, a wife, or whatever, mother, and a juvenile. And that's what I've been dealing with for years. And I know it just by their activity. And I know it by hearing them. You can hear the different sizes. I've literally heard them speak, and it's freaking nuts. It's absolutely freaking nuts. So that's what happened. So the second time, he left me this nut that was broken in half, is shaped like a heart, and I'm walking around my property looking for it. I don't have any of this in my 3 acres. Nothing. I've been all over the 3 acres. Then I go out back, nothing, all over 94 acres. 2.5 years later, I find the nut that was left on my stump 1.1 mile from my property out at the river on the banks. A whole group of them, like somebody was eating them. And, I jumped up, and my boy Mike Trainer was with me. I said, I found it. I can't believe I found it. You know what I mean? It was great. He goes, what'd you find? And I showed him the picture. I said, see, I've been looking for this stupid nut for 2 years. They've been looking for me. Freaking nut. So, yeah, so I'm into the things that have happened on my property. I believe in structures. I believe in technique, hunting techniques. I believe in a lot of things that the Native Americans do. They do. They taught each other, basically. And this is an area I call the high school. A lot of breaks, just wiped out. It's like one wind came down and just pushed down all these trees in one area, but didn't blow them up, didn't break them in half. Just broke them all off the bottom and slowly stripped the bark off them. Very bizarre area. Yeah, very bizarre. So a lot of people won't tell you that's scientific, but I think they corral them. You know what I mean? I think they corral their food, or they direct their food. So a deer comes up to something, and meanwhile, they're teaching the juveniles how to do this, right? So I always find like trees like this, and then it kind of comes to a point. And I always see deer scat up and along the trees, and we've just been putting this together. Wojo and I, the Burks, Patty and Wally Burke, really good investigators as well. And that's what we all kind of discovered and put together. That's what it looks like. And as soon as that deer stops or looks around to try to do something, snap goes the legs off in the woods at dinner. You know what I mean? So that's one of our theories. Do you think you could handle seeing them with it? Yes. Yes, I can. And I can tell you a story. I'm not 100% seer. I've had them growl at me from like, I believe it was a juvenile from about 50 feet away from me. I've been flanked on, believe 3 different occasions. One was in question because the second sound wasn't exact, but anyways, 2 definite flankings. So I know their behaviors and stuff like that. I had a situation where you can go to the next picture if you want to. Yeah. So I had a situation where I was out with the, at 100. So I was out with a situation where I was with the vice president, I believe Dave at the time worked for the BFRO. He was taking the report from my house, and I was very reluctant to let anybody out there. But I had a friend who was an author and a folklorist and all that stuff, and she asked me if she could bring him out there, and I said, yeah. So we went out there, and I showed him all these things, and he was pretty impressed with like all these different structures. It was crazy. It's crazy out there. And the whole trip, though, I'm looking like the Bigfoot guy, which I am not. Mind you, I didn't go looking for these creatures. They came to me. And I was pointing during the whole trip out there like this. I'm hearing something out there. I'm hearing something out there. I want to listen. But I could hear him at the very end of my hearing, kind of scuffling through the leaves. Anyways, we get all the way back. It's dusk. We put all our stuffs in our backpacks, put our backpacks on. We're talking what our next move would be, plan would be. Dave's telling me what he thought of the place. And then all of a sudden we hear a noise. He goes, what kind of duck is that? And I said, bro, I've owned this place since 2002. Not once have I seen a duck in the forest. Just saying. And then right after I finished that sentence, and I know I'm going to sound a little weird here, people. Ready? I hear. Come from about 75 yards to my right. And I froze, and I looked at Dave, and I go, is that the Sierra Sounds? And then all of a sudden, to the left, again, in the directions I had been pointing this whole investigation, looking like a cuckoo bird, right? The left,
Yeah.
there was a bigger one. There was a bigger one, and he was more guttural. And he goes, like that. And I went, dude, they're speaking a language. Like I got goosebumps telling you this story. I'm like, they're speaking a language. The second one responded again. And when he got done, he made what we deem a one tree knock sound.
Okay.
Then the bigger one responded to the tree knock. Right when that knock ended, I'm just calling it a tree knock. I'll elaborate in a moment. That tree knock, the bigger one picked up where he left off, and went, bang, tree knock. And that was it. Conversation was over. Now, during that time, I'm reaching for my phone, which is in the middle of my hoodie pocket. So I'm like, first of all, as a human, fight or flight, I'm like, shit, what if they see me and they come running out here and bash my skull in? Because they know what a gun is, I'll tell you that much. So they don't know what I'm reaching for. So I'm like, and then I'm like, wait, what if they stop? What if I pull up my phone right now and they stop?
Yeah.
And exactly, and it kills the whole experience. Because I believe in frequency theory. I believe they fail and see the frequencies 100%. So I went, you know what? I'm not. This is going to be a personal experience. I'm here with a BFRO guy. I'm here with, an author. You know what I mean? So I'm here. This is our experience. And I'm going to soak it in.
And that's the great thing is you have validation not only by yourself, but other people as well.
Absolutely not. So the tree knock, that's why we believe sometimes it's a chest pop and a mouth pop like that. Because I've heard them. I have video of them beating a tree to death. There's the nut. See a little heart shape? It's got a little point on the end. See it? Yeah. See that thing? I had no idea what that was. It was anywhere in my property. I still don't even know the name of it. And people go, "Oh, is that a hazelnut? Is this nut a chestnut?" And it's none of those. Someone told me what it was, and I can't remember what it is. But those are nuts. That's it. So yeah. So that's So we believe in that. Kind of. If you watch, you'll see the silverback or something. They'll hit his chest real fast, like. Yeah. So exactly. So I think in this case it was mouth pop. So period, like a period at the end of the discussion. You know what I mean? Oh, there he is. There's my Sasquatch. Look at Sasquatching with a skeptic, taking my boy out. And he's like, I'm kind of a skeptic. And I said, dude, that's awesome. We need that. We need that in your paranormal world. And we need that in my cryptid world. There's 100%. We need those. Everybody. You need all kinds of thoughts and opinions. I've gotten great ideas and theories from people that don't believe in this stuff. You know what I mean?
As you told me when you said you wanted to take me hunting, I was like, yeah, my knees aren't what they used to be. I can't really trek that much. And you're like, oh, we'll give you a chair and just sit you out here. You use you as bait.
Sasquatch bait, man. I'll put some oatmeal cookies on your lap. See what happens. Maybe you'll get a lap dance. You might get a lap dance from Mama Squatch. Woohoo!
I mean, I honestly can't say what my reaction would be if I actually saw or came face to face with a Sasquatch. Like that would be. I think it would be more shocking for me to see a Sasquatch than a ghost. And I've been a paranormal investigator for 28 years now.
Yeah, and I've seen a ghost. So, I've seen a ghost, and what happened to me was when I got growled at, that's when I had that crazy realization what you're talking about. And you might handle it the way I did. I heard him snap a tree. I was working the yard, one pull, snap a tree. No creaking, no swinging back and forth. It was just, and I knew it was an oak or an elm. And I said, come on, I'm trying to get shit done in the yard today, So I walk over there and I'm like kind of being bossy. I grab my phone out and I'm like, kind of stand my ground a little bit. I already had a relationship with him, and I held up my phone. I go, come on, where you at? And then all of a sudden I scan this way and it goes, and it growl, like kind of shot a growl in my direction. And my phone, it sounds a little muffled, but it went right through my body. And I'll tell you what, at first I was like, hey, this is my land. I'll respect your land. Let's all be, we can live here together. I'm trying to negotiate, and then boom, I backed up to the middle of my yard, close to the street, because as a man, I realized something just growled at me from 50 yards away. I cannot see it. It sounded big. It sounded big, and it was intelligent. And I ended up with my hands on my knees. And I'm a man that has seen a ghost this close to his face and had her touch his head as an 8-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So I was absolutely stunned and shocked. Where I called a friend of mine, and I was like, "Oh shit, what just happened to my life?" It changes your life. It changes your life when you hear that guttural growl and all that stuff. And if you go over like to my YouTube and stuff, because I know you're gonna be closing out, but if they go over to my YouTube, there's an incident there You'll see it. It's the video with the old 1974 Ford Econoline van. It's a kick-ass van. I sold it, whatever. The yard was I was moving all my stuff out of there. And it started beating on a tree with a stick. That I know was a stick because if you listen closely, you can hear him trudging through the woods. He was pissed off about something, snapped the tree, walked up to another tree and beat the shit out of it. And I got pictures of the tree all beat to shit. There's about a 2.5-inch dent and thick pine bark. You and I couldn't do that with an aluminum bat. Yeah, yeah. And I'm video recording it 75 yards away, almost at 9 o'clock at night. I'm trying to get it through the darkness. And one guy says to me, "Well, why didn't you go out there?" Because I lived on the streets and I know how to survive. You ding-a-ling. It's still a creature.
Let's go right into the darkness of something that just growled at me. And
yeah. So that video is on my YouTube page. You can check that.
At that point, I don't value life at all anymore. Like, why not? Let's just roll the dice.
Hey, I've been meaning to talk to you, sir. Like, how do you start the conversation? TikTok,
right?
I live in Massachusetts. It's guns aren't allowed. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I don't want to do that anyway. So when I was leaving with Dave that time, Dave goes, "I think it's time for us to go." And I said, "I agree." So I waved to him. I said, "Thank you guys so much." I said, "Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that experience." And I got out to my yard. I turned around again and I waved. And I said, "Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for that." And Dave goes, "You know why they're here, Rich?" And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because of you." He goes, "They know who you are as a person. They're connected to you." And
you got that personal relationship working with them.
I consider that an amazing compliment after all the life I just shared with you guys. And now I'm into this, experience that I've been having. And I didn't, like I said, I never went looking for it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. I'll tell you that. It's been a fun ride, brother.
Of course. I mean, it sounds like a very interesting, set of details and concepts, but it kind of seems like to me the Sasquatch kind of just seems like a pissed off teenager. Has their mood swings and everything.
Yeah. No, there is. Well, there is one. That's the juvenile. And I've been dealing with the juvenile. Yeah, the juvenile. They when they flank, what they do is like the mom would get your attention.
Yeah.
She wants her juvenile to go somewhere else to get away from danger. And I stepped out of my camper where I had an office in there and a gaming area in there. And that's where I kept conducting my business and, yelled at hacks and playing COD. But so I come out of the camper and I stepped down one night and there's this loud on the ground, like it stepped on a big log and snapped it. And I stopped and I went like this. And at that time I was fairly new. So I had Massachusetts. So I had like an airsoft gun to make loud noises. You know what I mean? Ah! So I could run. And so I let off like a few rounds, like, boom, don't, like, it was too close. I got freaked out. So I let it off. Like, thinking it was, an animal. I'd scare it away. Right. I sense don't do this. But as soon as I did that, and my backyard's crazy wetland, and it just shot across in like 7 seconds, like two football. This thing, like two football fields. This thing was like through. I could hear it all the way through. So I went boom, boom, boom in the air over there again, like, yeah, stay out, and then boom, immediately back to the left. Gosh, a huge snap, but this time up high. It wasn't down on the ground. And I went, oh shit, I'm being flanked. So I started backing up. I started backing up to the house, and my kid's mom was outside at the time because I was headed back to my other house. But after doing some work in the camper and playing video games, and she goes, "What the hell was that?" And she was the one who always told me it was a fish, a cat, or a deer. Relax.
Yes.
And I said, "It was not a fish, a cat, nor was it a deer." And she goes, "No, that whatever that was huge." So I believe the mother got my attention to send her son off, or son, I call him a son, the juvenile off to safety. Yeah, it was pretty wild. It's been absolutely nuts. It's completely nuts, dude.
All right, so it has been a fantastic evening talking to you about Bigfoot. I've learned a lot personally, and
a lot more.
It definitely like opened my eyes to a lot of other things that are out there other than just the paranormal. So I got two questions for you.
Yeah.
All right. So one, what would your last meal be?
My last meal.
If you were on death row, so to say, what would your last meal be? You could have anything you wanted.
Well, real quick. What's his name? Badger, we'll call him. I did not. I said in that story, I was a novice at the time. I had no idea what I was doing, dude. Far more experience now. I would never challenge it. I just wanted to give me time and space. Time and space is survival. That's what I thought. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Oh,
Laguna.
that's cool. All right. I like that. I like that. It's just the way, oh, I see it the way it's spelled now makes sense. So yeah, there was just time. It was just time and space and me being a novice at the time. That's all it was. Definitely don't investigate like that now, and I don't recommend it. My last meal probably would be lasagna from this place in Washington State that I had many years ago called Luciano's. It was a half restaurant, half casino. I won about $7,000 in there too. But it was so good. I called the chef out, and you figure Mama Celeste is
You did
coming out.
you did the chef's kiss.
Dude, I can't. I handed him $100 bill. I said, "That's the best lasagna I ever had." I had a little bit of money. I was winning, so I gave him $100 bill. I said, "That's the best lasagna I ever had." I could not believe it. A great lasagna is a big bowl, and you
Oh yeah,
can't see the lasagna because it's covered by cheese and like basil and parsley, right?
of course.
If you can see the lasagna, we got a problem. And I don't say nothing. I don't go, "Hey, I don't want to see my lasagna, you jamoke." Nothing like that. I'm like, bring it over. It's a bowl and it's covered in cheese and it's covered in spices. Boom. Best ever. You know what I mean? Oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
That's
thank
pretty
you for
awesome.
thank you for that knowledge. That's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I would never. I'm
Oh,
very peaceful with them.
Wojo's simple.
Tomato and cheese. You can have a little bit of salt on that, son. You left out the salt. Can't do that. Yeah, that would be my last. But I have to get it directly from that place, though. That was probably the best I've ever had.
Oh, you'd
Yeah,
have to. Okay,
yeah.
now the second question I have. If
Yeah.
you could choose 5 places in the world,
Ooh.
no expenses, you could go wherever you wanted to, whether it be paranormal, whether it be Sasquatch hunting, wherever. Where would you go?
Um, I would like to go. I think the first place I would go is to Palermo, Italy, for history. We're supposed descendants of Michelangelo. We have a ton of artists and stuff in our family and stuff, so that would be really cool. I'd like to follow the lineage back to that. Hang out in Italy for a while, right? Definitely, yeah. The Sasquatch, the paranormal. We talked about the other, like Waverly, would be like
Yeah.
one of the places I would want to go and just sit in a room. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
you'd have to.
Just sit in a room, right? And then Humboldt County, California, where all the Bigfoot
Oh,
basically
so many
started.
stories about Humboldt.
Yeah, well, I had a friend of mine that lived out there for years, and he grew such good weed that George Clinton from the Funkadelic showed up at his house one day
Oh,
and says,
jeez.
I heard your weed's amazing." Literally knocked on his door in the middle of the woods, and he said, and he smoked some ganj with him. And then next thing you know, my buddy was the bongo player for Ziggy Marley and the Whalers.
Oh,
Yep,
Denise, I'm so glad you're still here. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. You're up to 2 places right now. Or
I
three
am
places. Sorry.
3. Yeah.
Three. Denise, I was telling Richie last night when I was on his show about some Waverly things, but I told him that you and Ernie are the people to talk to.
About
So about Waverly.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Remember,
You
I
said
told
that.
you that
Yeah.
Ernie and Denise met at Waverly. They got married at Waverly. That they're definitely the go-to for any questions you have for Waverly. So definitely reach out to Richie, Denise, or Ernie, and definitely set something up so they can kind of tell the history because Richie was eating up the history of Waverly last night from my sorted, put together, pieced together history that I knew.
Yeah, it's one of the places. It's one of the places that when I got into the paranormal world, once I got sober and woke up a little bit, I found out that I was a sensitive, and so a lot of the things that I knew, I wasn't. A lot of people don't know that I had a gift too. Um, and I went to a mediumship class, things like that, to kind of understand things. You know what I mean? And Waverly was always come back to the forefront of my mind because when I got into the paranormal world, once I woke up, was like I saw that on a
Yeah,
show. And I was
yeah.
like, this place. And then I saw it on another show. Then I started hearing about it. And then I'm like, this place is so cool.
Oh, Jay's trying to butter you up so before you take him into the woods.
Yeah, no, your gift too, bro. I appreciate you. But yeah, no, that's yeah, it's pretty amazing. But yeah,
All right, so
so
what are your last 2 places you go to?
let's see. This is where it gets a little bit difficult. So I don't like flying. So that's one of the things about me, but I want to go places. So say if I
Yeah.
couldn't say I could teleport. All right, so say I could teleport. So I said Italy. Oh, I would like to go to France. It's escaping my mind right now, the name of the tower, to where the Knights Templar were taken and held for 7 years.
Okay.
So I'm a wicked Knights Templar history buff, and I truly believe the Vikings and then them discovered North America, and you could almost follow the trails to find that out. So the Vikings were 1,000 years ago, and then the Knights Templar in like the late 12s to 13
Yeah.
in that area. So yeah, so that would be definitely one place because I'd like to stand in that tower and see all that. They have all these carvings and writings while they waited for their death and demise, basically. And
Of
um,
course.
yeah, and that's what I talked about on the show a little bit last night about. So that'll be, and then there's one more. One more. Let me see. The one place I really want to go back to, and this might sound a little weird. I believe in multiple lives,
Hmm.
and I'd like to go back to my first life. I truly would, because
Interesting. Okay.
I've kind of known what it was for a long time. I know my relationships with people that I have in today that
Yeah.
that come from that. So yeah,
See,
it's
that's one guest I've always wanted to get on is somebody that does past life regressions. Like I would love to get somebody on that does something like that because
yeah,
I
I
believe
would,
in a full
yeah.
fledged too.
100%. And that's why for me, you run into people that are old souls and things like that. Or, some people have to come back and learn certain things. Like this life is mine. I know I had to come back and learn, true love and stuff like that. So it sounds cliche, but being a street kid and stuff like that, I didn't feel much love. You know what I mean? So, but no, that would be pretty cool to talk to somebody or, kind of know more about that if there is a
Yeah.
possibility, at least going back there in your memory and, maybe hypnotism or something, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm a big person on reincarnation. I think at some point it stops and you earn your right to somewhere else. But I think I what I know and think anyways, like two different things, but there's a checklist, so to speak. Let's put it that way.
All right, Richie. Well, tell everybody where they can find you, when your shows are, and give a quick rundown of the who, what, where, when, and why. I guess you could
Um,
say.
yeah, real quick though. Yeah, to answer your question, what would be the point? I would like to say hi to myself. That's all. What's up, Rich? And then go back to my regular life. That would be the point. I don't know, just something sentimental. And I ran out of answers, but I did always want to go there. So there's the answer to that. But yeah, you can check me out on I'm on TikTok, Banter with Richie B. I'm on Instagram, Banter with Richie B. Facebook, I have a Banter with Richie B page. You can follow me on that and catch up with all the events that are happening. You can go on YouTube. Again, Banter with Richie B on YouTube. I have all kinds of content on there, things that I've literally like experienced, structures, pictures of structures, things like that, that you can see. We can have conversation about. There's even Bobby Lee made a QR code on our Banter Richie B website, that you can just take a QR code and just kind of click on it. It'll show you where all our podcasts are playing on Spotify and Apple. Ours are recorded and put on there. And at some point, I might go all out and do all those destinations. But definitely 7 o'clock Tuesday night. I'll be sitting down with a friend of ours in the audience right there with Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations, Brian Terrell. Hopefully comparing huts, Brian. We sent you out an email, brother. And sitting down with him at 7. And then next Saturday, I actually have my paranormal show at 6 p.m. with Toast and Ghost. Megan from Toast and Ghost is going to be there.
Awesome.
And then that following Tuesday, March 19th, Alex Petikoff from Small Town Monsters, someone that's a bit of a mentor of mine. And I'm super excited to have him, and I want you guys all to maybe do a little research on him and sit down and let's have some questions and have some fun my way. It gets a little weird.
I want to give a big shout out to Bobby Lee, of course, for helping me set this all up. Absolutely amazing of you to step in. This is what the Get Haunted Network, the P3 Network, is all
100.
about. Is
Yep.
is helping others when in need, and stepping up and filling in the shoes. Um, Hi, Bonnie. Glad you guys made it home safe. Also, I want to give a shout out to Courtney Peterson. She is the
Always.
social media person for Get Haunted, and she's been in the chat the entire time, plugging your links, putting them up
Yeah.
there.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
Amazing, amazing people.
Yeah.
We're so
Very lucky.
lucky. You and I both are part of the P3 network.
Yes.
So
Thanks,
it's been
Josh.
an absolute pleasure. So before anybody leaves, I got one more thing. We're gonna take the show out on this. Give everybody out there across America that's listening your best Bigfoot impression.
I usually do it like it's Wojo. Buy the merch. Whoop. We do, yeah, we do a lot of stuff like that. I don't howl. I do whoops. I go whoop, or you do a little. Sit there, and sometimes you just sit there in silence. By the way, yeah. But the best
Sometimes
Bigfoot
do.
impression is 100% Wojo. Buy the merch.
Well, didn't I hear something on one of your videos about how kind of Sasquatches kind of sound like Chewbacca?
That was one noise I heard one time. I still can't explain it. I've only talked about it that one time where he's like
I'd kind of shit my pants if I was sitting in the middle of the woods and I just hear.
yeah, it wasn't exactly like, but it was weird. It was like Chewbacca trying to use language. It had that little roll into it, but it kept going up
Yeah.
and down. I was like, what is that? And they mimic. So sometimes, they believe that they mimic anyways. Yeah. I prefer knocking and drumming. Yes, I'm with you, bro. I'm with him. No, there's so many impressions you could do of them, seriously. But the best one is buy the merch.
Buy the merch. Buy the merch. If you don't want Wojo,
merch.
if you don't want Wojo or Richie B showing up at your house,
Yeah.
buy the merch.
All right, I gotta one kiss for my son in heaven, Jack Richard. Love you, buddy. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody.
Thank you so much for being such a great guest. We had some great listeners, some great questions. I'm sorry Jenny missed it. She just got home a couple minutes ago from Michigan, and I know that was a long drive from her. But Jenny, we kept it family oriented for the most part.
Yep.
We kept it PG-13 ish.
Yep.
It was, you and I could have went off the rails.
Yes, yes.
We kept it how we did. So
I listen, when I came over here and I'm in your house and you have a nice, neat living room and I don't want to mess up the living room. So here I am.
I just don't have space for an office.
I'm like, hello, Miss Jenny. Sorry about you. Go ahead.
Right.
No, it was a great interview. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I'm going to take Richie off here. I got a couple announcements. I want to run down our sponsors here real quick. So, Richie, have a good night, sir. Thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you, everybody. Get haunted.
Have a good one, Richie.
See you, bro.
I am get haunted.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks, Richie. Have a good night, brother.
Thank you, Ross. I appreciate you. Good night.
Of course. All right, guys. So I really, really appreciate you guys all coming out and listening. You guys are absolutely amazing. And I say this every week. We wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for you guys. You guys are absolutely 100% the backbone of this and make this possible for all of us to do. So please keep listening, like, subscribe to our YouTube. Keep tuning in every Sundays. You can see my show on Monday nights, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Compass Curiosities. Tomorrow I have Stacy Lee on. Also, we have a special episode of Unturned Pages airing this Wednesday, starting at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Mr. Brian Cano from Haunted Collector himself will be on with us. We're doing a very special episode with him. Thankful for him coming on. Also, I want to get to our sponsors, of course, Get Haunted, the P3 Network, giving us a platform to be able to do what we love to do, and providing us with the resources such as Bobby Lee and Courtney and everybody like that. Rob and Sarah have been absolutely fantastic to us. Also, Warner Paranormal Preservation Society does some great work out here in the Massachusetts area. We'll be working with Richie come November. Also, Expedition Entity. Larry Eisler was responsible for our intro video, which came out fantastic. Hey, Taryn. And also Enchanted Awakenings. I believe I got that right, Bonnie? I believe I did. This is what happens when my ADD mind starts kicking in and I go squirrel. But you guys, thank you so much for coming again. You guys are absolutely amazing. Like I said, we couldn't have done this without you. And without you guys, we are nothing. So everybody out there, have a good night, be safe, and we'll see you again on Wednesday.